celebrating across difference. That's what this film is all about, where we profile people, primarily Black minority ethnic of African or African Caribbean origin, so that you are aware what success looks like and that journey and the hurdles that they've had to overcome to be who they are today. Patti Boulaye OBE. What a privilege. And look at you, you're amazing.
No, my head is getting
You're
bigger, Doirean.
stunning.
I love that introduction. Thank you.
As you know, this film is about celebrating success across differences. So I want to start, we're starting with you, of course, we're starting with you. So I want you to journey me through your life
Oh my
and
goodness.
your career.
It actually started when I came on holidays in the early 70s to the UK from Nigeria.
Yes.
And we had just, the Biafra War had just concluded, ended. And I wanted to be a nun.
Wow.
And but that brought me to England because my parents, well, Mother Superior asked my parents to send me to England to make up my mind because she realized I had let slip that I was trying to get away from what my father wanted me to be, which is why
What did your father want you to be?
he wanted me to be a lawyer.
Wow.
I thought, no. Can you imagine me a lawyer? I would be, I don't know. If I know someone is guilty, I'll probably tell the judge to put them, lock him up and throw away the keys, you know. I couldn't possibly be a lawyer like that.
My
So
goodness.
anyway, so Dad sent me to the UK, and I was, my sister, one of my sisters living here,
Yes.
and so I decided that what I would do was go sightseeing on this particular day. And I was here for 3 months. I mean, 3 months is a long time. So I had
Wow.
to fill in
yeah.
the time. Because we used to have 3 months holidays in those days, you know, like summer
Wow.
holidays. And anyway, I saw at the Shaftesbury Theatre a lot of people lined up. And on top of it looked like Madame Tussauds because it's this head of hair, which was Madame Tussauds logo in those days. Anyway, it was an
that's right.
audition.
Oh my goodness.
After 2 hours of queuing, I auditioned, and that's how I started in show business. I got into
Goodness.
this show called Hair. And 3 years later, I had to change my name because I was Patricia Ngozi Ebigwe, and nobody would try and pronounce it. I had a record out, and the DJs wouldn't even try. So I thought I
Wow.
have to change the name.
Yes.
So I started again
Yes.
as Patti Boulaye, and went on New Faces.
Wow. So how did you decide on your name? Your stage name?
Actually, it was my husband. At the time, he wasn't my husband at the time. We were dating. And he had a meeting. I was thinking, Patricia, every time I heard her name, I would compare it. And he came back from a meeting with an actress called Evelyn Leigh.
Oh, yes.
And everybody called her Boo.
Oh.
You know, so I thought Boulaye is a good name. Boulaye? Patricia Boulaye? No, that's too much pentameter. Patti Boulaye, that sounds better. So that's what we
Nice.
did. And then that was
Very
the
fitting.
name. I know, the name of my first album. So God bless Evelyn Leigh
Wow.
for that name. So I did
Goodness.
New Faces, and that was it really. And then I had to start learning my trade.
Wow.
I had to start learning how to entertain. Because there's a difference between singing and entertaining.
Right.
For
the
if you
viewers'
can marry
sake,
the two, that's good.
And
yeah.
excuse my ignorance,
Uh-huh.
can you distinguish the two?
Well, okay. Entertainment is being able to touch people, being able to win people over, being able to connect with people. It's actually, entertainment is aiming for the spirit, really.
Right.
Connecting with the spirit of people, which I think, thank you, Lord, I find quite easy to do right from an early age. So entertainment for me, the singing is different because you could go and get trained technically.
Yes.
You can sing opera, you can sing whatever, you can, but entertaining is being able to use that to connect with people.
Connect with people.
Yeah, so I went that way, and I, in a sense, wasn't really I was so busy learning about this. We didn't have this tradition in Africa. It was like for vagabonds and strolling minstrels, according to
Right.
my father.
Wow.
So, I mean, what we had was Fela Ransom Kuti.
Yes,
And,
yes.
come on, no parents will let you anywhere near a mile of Fela Ransom Kuti. So,
Very
it,
talented
yeah, it was
artist, yes.
frowned on anyway because it
Wow.
was kind of radicals, went into the music industry. Um, and so I don't know, I just decided that I was going to make the best of this. All my sisters were academically accomplished. All my brothers and sisters, a pilot, an
Yes.
aeronautic engineer. I
Fantastic.
know, a
Wow.
laureate of the Sorbonne, an industrial chemist, and Patti Boulaye.
Oh, wow. Wow. What a
And that's
nice
just a
mix,
few of
though,
them. I
isn't it?
know.
Of
I mean,
talent.
they pushed me. I love that. They challenged me, my
Absolutely.
siblings.
So, what would you classify as your high point? You came to the UK from Nigeria, and that must have been horrendous because you were there in Nigeria at a time when the Biafran War
Oh yeah,
was
that was.
at its high point, to say the least.
Oh yes, Biafra War kind of matured me greatly, I have to say, because of, you see things that most people will never see in a lifetime.
Wow.
You see more dead bodies. You see bodies rotting. You see, I mean, I remember seeing a woman after a shelling. She was pregnant
Oh, no.
and really almost full term. Unfortunately, caught by shrapnel, and it ripped her stomach open.
Oh, good Lord.
So her baby was still attached to her umbilical cord, and it was a sorry sight to see that, really.
My
But anyway, there
goodness.
was so many things. A body running without head. Now that is,
Oh, my
so
goodness.
when people panic, it's sad, because really, if only he had taken cover, he'd still keep his head. But yeah.
Oh,
So
my
that was
gosh.
so actually, in a sense, God is amazing, because when I came to England, I was more mature than my 16 years of age.
Yes,
I
you
had
would be.
experienced so much that everybody else here seemed frivolous. Everything they did seemed, I came in, and in here they were fighting for freedom, and I'm thinking, freedom, fighting for freedom. Who's going to give you this freedom? Freedom is here.
Yes.
Nobody owes you it.
Yes.
You give it to yourself, And
Absolutely.
so I matured, quickly because of the war.
That held in good stead.
Oh, it held me in good
Not the
stead.
nicest way
Oh
to
no,
learn
any
about
way the
life.
Lord chooses
Yeah.
is good way.
That's fantastic. So tell me about where you're at now. Where are you now
Where am
in
I
your
now?
life, career?
Oh dear. Okay, where I am now is just, I have to tell you, when I got to 35, because for some reason during the war, I always thought 35 was, because I was in my early teens, I always thought 35 was so old.
Wow.
I really did. I thought you didn't live past 35 for some reason. Anyway, when I got to 35, I was so amazed to still be alive. I was expecting thunder and lightning, etc., etc., bolt to knock me, And I just thought, Father, from now on, in your time. And that meant that I wasn't really thinking money. I was thinking more reaching as many people as possible, trying to do as much good as possible. And that stood me in good stead, because in lockdown, I realized I'm on a winner here.
Yeah,
Seriously.
absolutely.
Because most people everybody is so desperate with the money thing. I'm thinking, no, just be alive and be thankful. Because
Absolutely.
the money will come later. But be alive and be thankful.
Very, very true.
So anyway, so now I decided that, you know what I do with you at the university,
Absolutely.
that I was going to,
We have the privilege of having you as a visiting academic with us.
I know
And the students love you
I'm
every year.
blessed. No, I feel blessed by that, because, it's like giving something back. And during the COVID lockdown, I just decided I was going to continue and do that on YouTube.
Yes.
Because when I talk at schools as well, it's incredible, the minds of young people. What do you want to be, you ask a young girl? Well, I think I'll marry a footballer, maybe have 2 children, divorce him and keep the money.
Oh, my goodness.
I go, really? So you think there's enough of them around? You know, I'm thinking I better be a mother of a footballer and see one of you around here. Oh, you will be so screwed.
That would be the end of
because
her
I would
career.
exactly at the end of her career, I will maim her. You know, my son is not dragging you into my home. Honestly,
not.
but you know, so you
Sad, isn't
think
it?
they need advice. It's not their fault.
Yes.
It's what they have heard. It's what they've been told.
Yes.
And that's how they see it, you know.
That's how they see it.
And it's quite sad because they're genuine. I mean, when they speak to you, you think she's kidding. You think, no, she is not kidding. This girl is serious about this. It's very sad. Sad for young men,
Yes.
you know. So that's where I'm at. I'm on a crusade.
That's fantastic. Now, as a black woman coming to the UK,
Yes.
into a different culture and environment, did you experience any racism or negativity? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Oh, good heavens. I think because I wasn't brought up in England. Of course I experienced, you know, racism, but I remember calling some white girl a peasant because she behaved like a peasant. She behaved like a market woman where I come from. I really didn't see, you know, I just thought there are certain white people who have a certain class and upbringing. And then there are those Untu-mentions who, you know, and so you have to know the difference. I kind of, you know, kind of looked down at people who were racist because I didn't understand it. There were still signs saying no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. I just thought, well, I don't eat these things. So, you know, they call us cannibals and they serve blacks, dogs, and Irish. I mean, come on. Do you know what I mean? So I was naive and innocent in a sense, but it stood me in good stead. And besides, my mother brought us up, you're not better than anyone and no one is better than you. No one. I never
wisdom.
was one for being starstruck because the only star I know is Jesus. Do you know what I mean? Unless you can live, die, and live after that, I'm sorry. You're like me. You're going to end up 6 feet under. And that's the end of you. So, as you know me, I'm very outspoken.
Absolutely.
And it's because I've always had no fear of people like me. Come on, I've seen dead bodies. I've seen what we become. I've seen maggots eating, great big maggots eating. That's what we are. And so I can't imagine anyone being superior in that sense. It always made me laugh, you know, when I see people, because I realized that the problem is with them, actually, and their upbringing. It's nothing to do with me.
Absolutely.
You know,
Very
my
true.
life, I know, they used to call me stuck-up bitch in show business.
Goodness.
But that is because when we finish the show, I'm going home. If I did a television program, I'm going home. I didn't associate. And it wasn't because I was stuck up, but because when I joined the show, they laced my drink with LSD
Goodness.
on my birthday because they wanted to see me stoned, or what they call letting my hair down. And so I thought, I'm in an industry of mad people.
Goodness.
You do not associate with them. So that's how I actually saw it. And thank God I did, because it stood me in good stead.
You survived.
Oh,
Most definitely.
I survived. You know, I mean, I remember the height of my career. I was offered a movie, and it was with a very top actress. But then in the script, it was sex scenes. Of course, if you have a black actress, she has to take her clothes off.
Yes. Yes.
I turned it down. They were shocked. I went, that will kill my parents. I will not be responsible for killing my parents. That thing is going to last forever. And I was so glad I didn't do it. But they were kind enough to let me play a different role, just play a singer. None of the nude scenes and sex scenes. And thank God for that, because when I went to see the premiere, I went out the back door. You know, I'm African that way.
Tell me about, because they're talking about Africa.
Yes.
There is a memorable movie that you starred in.
Yes.
And even my colleague, when she first saw you, she said, oh, Bissy.
Yes, BC, Daughter of the River.
Daughter of the River. Tell us about that movie.
It was wonderful. It was actually cast in England.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was like, you know, in those days, if like a Hollywood movie, and in this case, it was The Omen. You know, they made a series. when they make so much money, they were encouraged to kind of make a movie in third world countries, tax loss or whatever, I don't know, counting for financial reasons. So they chose this particular film for Nigeria, and it was brilliant. It was espionage, it was James Bond, it was tradition, it was everything. So Nigerians loved it, and it, because the story was my character. She was born to an elderly couple who were praying for a child, and then they promised Yemoja, the god of the river, that she would become a priestess if he or she would become a priest or priestess if they gave them a child. So they gave them BC. But they educated her, spent everything on her. And when she grew up, she was too educated to actually believe in the promise they had made.
Right.
And in the end, there was an initiation when she was supposed to be initiated as a priestess at the same river, which was filmed at a place called Badagry. She was drowned. And she was a wonderful swimmer. But so they kind of pleased those who believe in Yemoja, and those who didn't say it's an accident, and those who believe say, of course, you can't step on the foot of, the goddess Yemoja. So it was good. It took Nigeria by storm, yeah.
So if you could give some advice to primarily groups of people that are marginalized, and we know we're going with that, of course, black people, presumably, seem to be more marginalized than any others, or black and minority ethnic. So if you could give them some advice, what would that be?
Well, it's quite easy. Nobody is the boss of you. You are what you make yourself. You should be the best at what you can be. You should look the best. You should think the best. You see, the world has been brought up to think that we are down there. But wherever I have gone in the world to work, people, for some reason, have always said, oh, well, of course, you're different. I am no different. I think different. I walk into a place, I am not intimidated by anyone. That includes Buckingham Palace or wherever. I have respect. I have etiquette. I have knowledge of etiquette. I know what I'm supposed to do. I find out what I'm supposed to do. Our children need to be trained to believe in themselves outside what they think somebody else. I don't mean when they say, oh, they should accept me as I am. No, you should know what you are. If you know who you are and what you are, no one can touch you because you're living in the spirit. I live in the spirit. This body will rot away someday, and it's a great gift. They say it is God's temple. You treat it as God's temple. I'm very lucky. I don't follow fashion. I said fashion. I don't follow anything to do with this world. To be honest with you, it's just one sentence. Be in the world, but not of it.
That's fantastic. Fantastic advice. Thank you, Doctor. And the last point or question, can you explain why were you given an OBE? Clearly very deserving. How did that come about?
Well, that was quite amazing because since I've been in Britain, especially when my daughter was young, and I decided I was going to give myself, stay at home and look after her. And then our son came. Never stay at home. No, thank you, Lord, thank you, because I was desperate for a sibling for my daughter. Well, I just decided I was going to give myself to charity work. Oof, my goodness, I was a patron of about 15 charities. I was on the committee of about 20. And then at the end of that, I decided that I'd learned so much from being with those charities. Most of them are dealing with Africa, but the money hardly gets there because there's so many staff to pay here. And so I decided, no, this is not good enough. You can do something. And so my husband and I started a charity called Support for Africa.
Right.
And we've built 5 basic healthcare hospitals and a school. Yeah.
Absolutely
and so
amazing.
That's what I was given OBE for, which was really
well
nice,
done.
actually.
Well done.
I consider, bless you, Dan, I consider it's from God, really. because, when I was on the committee of the Queen's Golden Jubilee, everybody said you should get an OBE, and I'm going, no, I'm an African. I didn't think that, you know, people who are from other countries got, awarded that way. I really didn't think that. And then I just said, no. When God is ready, he'll give me one. And I was amazed when my husband said to me on my birthday, I've got a birthday present for you. I said, oh, what is it? He said, you got an OBE. I went, what do you mean? What's... So he told me, I went, no way! How did that happen? He is so good at keeping secret. He did this with so many other people. It was wonderful. That was a
Well
good birthday
deserved.
present.
Fantastic.
That was, yes.
Thank you very much
Thank you, Doirean.
for sharing your insights, your journey, your career, and what motivates you.
Yes.
You are a positive role model for many.
But I tell
Thank
you
you.
what, though, I'm a grandmother.
And a grandmother.
So
My goodness.
it makes people
handsome
laugh. I'm
little
vlogging
boy.
as the vlogging grandmother.
Absolutely. So
On
where can we
YouTube.
find on YouTube?
On YouTube, I'm the vlogging grandmother. It's full of
Fantastic.
advice for young people, and I talk about relationships, wedding, drugs, everything, suicide.
That's fantastic. So viewers, please watch out. Nairobi Thompson. What a powerful name. I love it.
Thank you.
And I know there's a lot of history there, especially where your family is concerned. Besides the fact that you're the most amazing poet, dare I say, historical poet, not just back in time, but also as of today.
Thank
so
you.
you capture the moment very well indeed.
Thank you very much.
So before we go into your poetry, I want you to show to camera the picture that you have of your relative.
So this is my my granduncle, and he was married to Arnesta Tull, and Arnesta Tull is in the lineage of Walter Tull.
Walter Tull,
Walter
yes.
Tull.
Remind us who Walter Tull is.
He was a British footballer and soldier who was born in 1888. And he died.
I do believe he's one of the first black footballers.
Yes,
British
yes,
footballers.
yes, and also as a professional footballer, he was also one of the first black officers in the army. He fought in the Battle of the Somme, and he died in the Spring Offensive in 1918. Yes, he's been recommended or put forward for the Military Cross. That is still something that we are campaigning about more than 100 years.
And he still
after.
hasn't received it.
He still has not received his Military Cross. But that's really indicative of where we are today and the things that we have to fight for and struggle for, even after literally laying down your life for the country.
Change has got to come. So tell me about your poems. When did you start writing poetry?
I started writing in earnest about 7 years ago, so not that long. I turned 50. Oh, who said that? Who said that? Yeah, so it was just before I turned 50, and I'd been through a little bit of trauma, as we all have, you know.
That's sweet.
And I started writing, and it was just very cathartic for me. And friends were saying, these are really good. What are you going to do with them? And that was really the beginning of the journey.
Excellent. Because I know I've actually invited you in to share insight to some of your poetry, with my students, and they absolutely loved them.
I enjoyed them as well. I enjoyed working with them.
So, if I asked you to recite one of your short ones for me.
Now you're going to ask me to do something. Okay, I found one very, very short. And it's called Flags at Half-Mast.
Yes.
England did not mourn for us. Solemn drums did beat, but not for us. For we were not her flesh. We waved goodbye to warming seas. With uncomprehending hearts aflame and romantic eyes we came. No man's friend in no man's land, no one gave a helping hand, loyalty trodden into sodden ground. Heavy casualties lightly remembered, no parades, our songs unsung, caught in barbed wire throats and swollen tongues. Remembrance poppies, held together by black centres forever. We all only see the red petals.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So give me a brief insight to your career, and also if you endured any barriers to your progress, if you don't mind sharing one or two examples. We don't have a lot of time. I wish we did, but time is of the essence.
Yeah, well, I mean, like a lot of people, I have experienced racism all the way through. I've studied to master's degree level and postgraduate qualifications, and I'm a training and development specialist, learning and development specialist. I train senior managers and have been training senior managers for a long time. Yeah, it's quite a challenge, really, when you walk into a room and people expect you to be something very different to who they thought they were talking to on the phone.
Yes.
But largely the racism that I tend to encounter is because I'm assertive, I know what I want, and often that seems to be very different in contradiction to the narrative about how black people are supposed to respond. You know, you're supposed to be very acquiescing or very angry. You're sort of, it's like there's only two frames of reference to be able to interpret our personas. And so if you're not acquiescing and you're not angry, people generally tend not to know how to take you. So when you're somewhere in the middle where you're assertive, you know what you want, and you're not going to suffer fools gladly, then you're seen as aggressive. And then you're typecast as troublesome and problematic. And that's kind of, in summary, really, the kind of racism that I've experienced the whole of my career when I'm looking for change, to make change.
Two things. How did you cope, and how do you cope? And equally, how do you overcome?
I think it's important to remember who you are as an individual. I know who I am. I know I'm blessed. I know I'm, I'm loved. I surround myself with people who care about me and who support me. Because sometimes if you don't have that framework around you, you start to buy into the narrative that suggests that you are a poor performer, an underachiever, problematic, etc. And it starts to erode your confidence. So coping really is about having faith and confidence and remembering who you are and never losing sight of the fact that you are blessed and that you are an achiever and that you deserve to be here.
That's an important point. And here you are.
Here I am.
Nairobi, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.